Hey everybody, it's Jonathan Mellen coming to you from my favorite place, the Jing, Beijing, China, Cheyenne Park. And today is Good Friday, April 10th, 2020. And a lot of us will say Good Friday. This is a terrible Friday. You know, we're in the midst of this COVID-19 crisis. And it's interesting that Christians call it Good Friday because that's the day Jesus was basically brutally tortured, maimed, hung on a cross, and crucified for us. But we still call it Good Friday. And there's something to be said about going through something that's difficult, facing some challenge or adversity that makes us better when we come out on the other side. And in this, I think one thing that we've learned from all of this is that we have no control over anything in our life. And we're like, the best we are is like hamsters spinning on a wheel with no really hope in sight. And we think that we're making some sort of an impact, but when something greater happens, like this crisis, there's really nothing that we can do. So today I want to talk to you about two things, two very important things that only two things can you do through a crisis like this. The two things I'm talking about, they both start with the letter A. The first one is attitude, controlling our attitude. And the second one is advocate. So there's only two things we can do in this world, two things in a crisis. So I'm going to talk to you about this because it's super important. The first one's about attitude. And I'm going to start with a little story for you first. So every Christmas I watch this funny movie called Christmas Vacation by National Lampoons. And in this scene, it's after this guy's house had basically almost been burned down. His Christmas tree's gone, all the presents are burned up, and his wife tells him, you have to calm down before things get worse. And he looks at his wife and he says, "Worse? Look around you, Ellen. We're standing at the threshold of hell." And a lot of times we look at situations in our life and circumstances in our life, and that's our attitude, is that things couldn't get any worse than this. But I found that the only thing that you can control in life is your attitude. And when you face difficult circumstances, it's actually an opportunity for you to grow and an opportunity for you to have a good attitude. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says, do not be surprised when trials come upon you, like something strange is happening to you. And what I'm saying to you is that it's during the difficult times that you are engaged in character formation. And you can definitely control the attitude that you have. And one example of an attitude is just from when I was younger. When I was 14 years old, I got hit by a truck at a pretty major accident, and for about 18 months of my life, I spent recovering from that. And when I look back, I think those are some of the darkest days of my life. But I'll never forget that my dad told me the only thing I could control in that whole situation was my attitude. And I no matter how much I tried to get better on my own, I couldn't. And the more that I held unforgiveness in my heart towards somebody, it only affected me. And so when we go through the difficult times, our attitude is really important. The second thing you can control is being an advocate or advocating for other people. A lot of times our first instinct in crisis is to think of ourselves and think, how is this going to affect me? And I know a lot of you are going through difficult times, and a lot of you face unbearable circumstances. But there are so many people out there that are going through a much more difficult time than you. And I know people who have been diagnosed with cancer during this time. I know people that are facing major circumstances in their life that need a lot of help. So what we can do is think about other people and what we can do to help them. So it's a short message today with two A's. The first one is our attitude. We need to check ourselves, look at our attitude. We need to be grateful for the opportunity to go through something, we need to have that diamond mindset. The second thing is advocate. Find someone who's going through a hard time. Pray for them. Be there for them. Encourage them. Do something nice for them. Remember, life is not about you. That's Jonathan Mellen coming to you here from the Jing.